Now let's take you back to the story we've just covered on the state of schools in Gauteng. To expand that conversation, we're joined by Gauteng Education spokesperson Steve Mabona. Steve, a very good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Your department has been accused of avoiding accountability as a 58 million rand debt mounts. What is your reaction to that?
No, there's nothing like that. Mm-hmm. We have allocated funds to all the schools, and we've been in a position to pay the municipal accounts. What we did in March, just in April, we paid what was outstanding from last year. Remember last year around September, October, we had a challenge where our schools were owing municipalities. And we then negotiated with all municipalities, and there was an agreement that they're not going to switch us off. And we then had to, pay. And we paid in April. And the allocation to schools was then finalized in June. So we can assure you that in June already, we allocated funds to all the schools. I'm talking about your Section 21 schools in Gauteng. So SGBs and school management must pay the accounts.
So just so we're clear, Steve, are you saying that the historical debt before the transfer of function to schools was paid by yourselves, and that as far as you and I are speaking this evening, you are saying that you owe 0.0 rands when it comes to the debt, the municipal debt?
We paid up until March, and the other months we then allocated that money to schools, because remember, it's their responsibility to pay municipal accounts. So we gave them enough money for them to pay effectively from April, May, to pay for June. And the remainder will be then enough for them to pay up until the end of the year.
Okay, so you still haven't answered my question, because you haven't clarified that there is no outstanding debt. Yes, you may have given the schools money, but is there still outstanding debt? And yes, it is the responsibility of some of these schools to pay their own municipal debt, but some of it is historical debt that was inherited before the transfer of function to the schools. You're still not giving me much confidence that there is no outstanding debt. Money may have been paid, but is there still outstanding debt?
No, I think maybe let's try to listen to what I said.
Okay.
I said we had a challenge from around September, October, which we then paid directly all the municipalities that were being owed. We paid them in April. So meaning anything that was owed from September up until April would have covered the historic debt. And then your May and June, all schools that they've received their money, they need to pay for their May account and pay for the June account. And they will be in a position to pay for all the other months that are coming up until the end of the year, because we have already allocated that money to them. Mm-hmm. So there's no historic debt that the school are expected to pay, which emanates from last year. The only thing that they need to pay is May and June, which we have given them that money for them to pay.
Okay, so many of the affected schools are no-paying schools, and the DA has reiterated its call for your department to reverse that decision, that no-paying schools have to cover their own utility bills. Is this a suggestion that you're looking at considering at all, or are you happy with how you're handling matters so far?
No, but they will know that this thing is legislated. Mm-hmm. if they will go through the act, they will know that all the Section 21 schools, they need to pay for their municipal accounts. So the department has a responsibility to then transfer the allocation to all the Section 21 schools. The only schools that we pay for, which will continue to do that, is the Section 20 schools. Those are the schools that they are probably accused of mismanagement. Some they cannot manage their fees or their funds. Then the department will take over the management of their funds, and we will then have to pay for those. But all other schools, they need to pay for themselves because we are allocating this money to them so that they can manage their accounts and pay.
So very lastly, Steve, before we let you go, the connection's also not very good. One can't ignore the fact that the unpaid utility bills create a great deal of difficulty for pupils, educators alike, because then it's impossible to provide lighting in classroom, power, educational technology, maintain hygiene and safety standards. How do you think that at any point with the schools that are maybe mismanaging funds that you're going to now step in and ensure that that is done, that the funds are correctly managed and that these challenges do not occur because they affect learning and teaching?
Look, we blame schools much because remember, we had a challenge as a department in allocating the funding to schools. And we have resorted to that challenge. And there's no school that is disconnected. And there's no school that is going to be disconnected in the near future because the funds are there. They just need to then pay, the municipalities. Yes, we acknowledge that in the event we are disconnected or there's, no water at the school, it becomes a challenge really for us as a department and the schools.
Very well. We're going to have to leave it there, but thank you for your time. Thanks for speaking to us this evening. Gauteng Education spokesperson Steve Mabona there, well, answering some of the questions around this 58 million rand debt, saying that as far as he's concerned, the historical debt has been settled, that 58 million rand, although he didn't confirm the entire amount per se, but that's what we got from him.